So hello again and welcome to your practice. Today's class is a Hatha yoga sequence inspired by massage. So we're going to use yoga principles and awareness in the body to give yourself a really nice treat. Just like a regular massage, this will help release tension. It will help you soften hard tissues in the body. And also, like a massage, it can be too hard. It can be too much, especially if you approach it aggressively. So I'm going to ask you to really tune into your body for today's class. In fact, we use the body, we use that awareness, and we'll use the breath in combination with some different poses to basically balance out the tissues of the body. A little bit of muscular strength, for example, on the front side of the leg will help us relax the back side. So we're using the body's natural symmetries and its potential for balance and harmony to get that massage effect. Generally, we'll be lengthening and opening tissues when we use the muscles on the complementary part of the body, but we'll also get a lot of release of both physical tension, maybe some of those thoughts that are still racing around in your head, or even something more subtle or personal for you. So yeah, let's get started. And you see probably already the props that I have available. A bolster, a chair could be nice. A block also can help lift you up in some of the poses, but none are necessary, and I'll give some modifications. So let's start with a resting position. I actually had a massage this week. It was really nice. And one of the first things the massage therapist did, she's like, wow, your energy is racing around. And she helped me calm down to get that effect, especially calming down what's going on in the mind. Will have a very strong reciprocal relaxation effect in the body. So we want to find any comfortable position that you can rest in. Try it on your back if you can. And try it with your legs up on the chair so that the legs are more or less parallel to the ground and your knees are resting easy, just about the height of your hips. What this does here with the bend in the knees is going to both soften the front of the hips, but also help us release tension in the lower back. And it's going to be one of our primary focus points for today's class, the back and the hips, as they connect the upper and lower body, and they're a very popular part of the body for massage. So we're just prepping ourselves here, getting a little awareness of how the body feels in this position. If it doesn't feel comfortable, or again, if you didn't have the chair or want to use it, you can just open your feet as wide as your mat, and let the knees rest together. This will give that same relaxing effect in the lower back and use the support of the knees against each other, so you don't have to do any work here. One thing that can help you get into the easy feeling of your body is by breathing very consciously and very freely. One technique for that I really like are sighs. So it's when we make a sound with the breath and often breathing out the mouth. So if you'd like to join me for that, we're going to try to do this one with all just breath awareness and observing the body in different parts of the body. We'll start with the lower body, everything from your knees and below. So as you inhale, just see if you can notice how your lower legs feel, especially if they've got that support. And as you exhale, direct your attention to the lowest part of the body with a sigh. Notice if you can let go of any tension. Moving up the legs, from your knees all the way through the hips and the pelvis. Breathing into this part of the body with your awareness. On an inhale. On an exhale, a big sigh. And release. Then we come to the center of the body, and central to today's class is going to be the spine. So I want, as you inhale, to see if you can move your awareness from the lowest part of your spine, moving up your central channel through the mid-belly into the rib area, noticing the length, noticing the space all around your spine as you finish your big inhale. As you exhale, soften with a sigh and allow your whole torso from your center on out to release any holding you don't need. And we'll come to the upper body around the shoulders and the arms, seeing if you can notice the length of your arms as you inhale and their weight on the floor. As you exhale, allow your shoulders, your arms, and your hands to soften, kind of melting into the ground with your breath. Lastly, the head and the neck, noticing all of the space around all sides of your neck, the length. And as you exhale, allowing the head and neck to become heavy and fully relaxed. If you still feel like you're holding tension in any part of the body, feel free to direct your attention there. Again, with an inhale, just observing, just feeling. And with an exhale, consciously relaxing. I'm just going to settle here, resting in a relaxed position for the next 5 easy, natural breaths. Wonderful. When you feel ready, you're going to start to wake up the physical body, moving the chair if you're using it, putting it away so it's not in your way, perhaps recentering and or shifting, wiggling the toes, the fingers, making any small movements that just feel nice. Noticing how it is in your body right now, and especially noticing if there's already any changes, perhaps any new sensations that you either didn't notice or just weren't there before. So I need a little bit more space here. And we're going to start on our back with a couple pelvic tilts. So with your knees right above your heels, on an inhale, we're going to arch the back, lifting the belly as you pull your tail down, and exhale, round your back. The belly pulls in, your tailbone is lifting up as if it were reaching for the knees. Inhale, arch, and exhale, round. Use a little bit of strength there in your core. Get a little more extension through the spine. So as you inhale, the spine contracts a little bit in this flexion motion. Get a big arch, a lot of space between your back and the ground. And as you exhale, we're rounding and reaching one of the spine's longest extensions, but using the strength of your core to support that. So that's an important principle we're going to try to work with today. It's a combination of strength, using a little bit of effort in the body, but also really importantly is this principle of Sukha in yoga, which in Sanskrit or Pali language translates to openness and ease. So this is really our guiding, our balancing principles of a little bit of effort. We've already taken that most important step by making the time today. and also really just enjoying your experience. So if it's not feeling like a comfortable massage, or if something I offer you to try is not working for your body today, feel free to leave it out. And if it feels really good, feel free to enjoy it a little bit more, stay longer. So come to a neutral position now on your back. So after you finish your next exhale, and your back is a little bit rounded, you'll just relax from there, and the length of the lower back is maintained. There's also a gentle curve in the spine. The back of the head on the ground, there's also a curve behind the neck. So your neck should feel long and easy. And we're just gonna bend the legs more and bring them into the chest and give yourself a squeeze. So we feel a little bit of that strength again, using our arms, using our legs to squeeze the body together. But you still want to feel that ease, that openness of Sukha in the lower back. So it should feel good. And you could also increase the pressure by just rolling on the back a bit. So we're giving the back body a literal massage using that support of the floor. So it's really nice to do anytime your back is feeling difficult, or your back is maybe feeling very tight. Just taking these short pauses with a lot of good release will help your body achieve its natural balance and ease. Okay. We're going to come all the way over now onto hands and knees. You can just roll onto your side to do so, or you could also continue your rolling action up and down the spine. Just be careful not to roll on your neck. And come to hands and knees pose. Spread your fingers. So you have very big hands here, and your wrists are right underneath your shoulders, your knees right underneath the hips. And we'll continue with that arching of the spine on an inhale, and rounding of the back on an exhale. We're just, again, taking the time slowly, just like a good massage, not rushing anything. Because when we tend to speed through things or stress ourselves out emotionally, there's a strong physical response in the body. And if we overdo it, if we force something, we're often going to trigger a reflex response or a stretch response in the body where other parts of the body will tighten up that we're not interested in, or that may actually prevent the stretch and the massage feeling where we're working. Let's take one more cat and cow. And then we're going to come into our first easy twist to explore the kind of third and magical ingredient of this inner to outer body massage sequence. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, you're going to twist your arm under the body and come down onto either the side of the arm and maybe the side of the head, or you might stay floating a little bit above the ground using your other arm for support. Just depends on how you're feeling through the spine, through your hips. Notice your hips now and make sure that your hips are still right over your knees. You might need to walk the knees back a little bit. You might need to shift them back towards center as they tend to slide in the direction of your twist. So breathe in to your center here, noticing a deep belly breath in, and on an exhale, maybe enjoying another sigh, and noticing what tension you might be able to soften. So the breath here is also giving us our important massage element in yoga. By inhaling, and the expansion in the center is kind of pushing, moving, even massaging all of the inner organs. We'll feel that a little bit more on the floor, but see if you can, again, with your exhale, soften and just open your awareness to that. One last breath. And then on an inhale, finish your exhale and engage the core again. Belly pulls back towards the spine as you inhale, unwind, lift up, and exhale back down to hands and knees. Getting ready for your second side. With an inhale, open the arm up, maybe even look up. And exhale, twisting your arm under your body, underneath your supporting arm as you lower your other side to or in the direction of the floor. Not necessary to come down all the way, but if you can, it will allow you to kind of let go a little bit more. Let the floor hold you as you hold your awareness now fully in your breath. Notice the extension of the spine as you inhale, the length, and also that space in between each of your vertebrae. And again, with your exhale, see if you can soften all of that interior space of the body, letting the organs relax against that wave-like massage action of your breath. Now, it helps to have some stability, so it's partly why we're going to use the strength part, the muscles of the body, but also having a stable foundation. In this case, it's our lower body, and especially the hips. So notice if your hips have shifted away from center, and maybe just energetically, you engage them back towards the middle, away from the direction of your twist. As you exhale, soften your neck, your head, and all of the small muscles of your face. When you finish that next exhale, engage the core a little more. Belly in as you push down and lift up. And then exhale back to hands and knees. Great. So we're going to tuck the toes and just notice the length of the spine here with the legs a little bit more active. We'll lift the knees off the ground just a couple inches, maximum 2, or centimeters, about 5 for our metric participants. And again, notice that length of your spine here with active legs, stable foundation, and smooth, deep breaths. Let's take 2 more. Make sure you're using all parts of the hand. So big hands reaching down through all 10 fingertips. See if you can relax your shoulders a little farther away from your ears. And then on an inhale, belly in as you lift your hips up. Exhale back to downward facing dog. Now, even downward dog here can feel like a massage pose if it's feeling good in your shoulders. And again, if we have that stability we need to release with ease into the pose. So let's release the knees more, bend them just a little bit. This will let you lift your sitting bones. Your tail area lifts a little bit higher as you exhale. Just let the heels, the back of your feet, soften away from the body. And you're looking at your heels at first, and you shouldn't be able to see them. They're parallel to each other, to the length of your mat. And if your shoulders aren't feeling it easy here, opening your hands or widening your hands apart from each other, maybe wider than shoulder width, can help you have a little bit more room for the shoulders to relax into that upper back support. Let your head and neck hang heavy. Again, let your breath be easy, fluid, and soft, relaxing. Any tension you don't need. We're going to bend the knees a little bit more. Lift that tail up a little bit more. And now we're going to keep the left knee bent as we stretch that back right leg. We're stretching the back side of the leg by reaching the heel down and back away from the top of your mat. And we're still using the stable foundation, now more through the arms and the shoulders. See if you can notice the balance in both shoulders. Are you distributing your weight equally? It'll help with that easy feeling of a stable foundation. And as you exhale, go ahead and reach that right heel back just a little bit more. I'm going to work one side and then the other. And I want to see if you notice a big difference when you bend both knees now and then come forward, walking or hopping, just stepping forward into a forward bend. See if you notice already a difference between the right side, the back of the leg, and the left side, maybe even into the hips. Inhale, come up halfway. So we lengthen the back and we protect that length using the core, belly in, tailbone back. Exhale, fold forward, forward bend, then we'll come on up. You could drop your hips to knee height and with a long back, strong legs, lift up, or simply roll the spine up, one vertebra at a time, and come to a standing pose. Again, you might notice a difference already as we spent a long hold for one side of the back of the leg. Let the arms face forward so your shoulders can relax back into the back body a little more. And really important here, to get that length in the low back, a feeling of ease here, we're going to use a little bit more core. So let your tailbone come down for that. This will help you bring your pubic bone up a little bit and the lowest ribs of the body in. Now everything's kind of pulling towards your center in the front. This will help you enjoy that extension through the back. Spread your toes. You can see the color of the mat between all of your toes. And with your eyes closed, just gently rock your weight front and back. Noticing how the weight is distributed through both legs, both feet, and also how that distribution shifts from the front to the back of each foot. All right, let's try that again. Or let's come back for the second leg, second side. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, bend from your hips, forward bend. Inhale, halfway up, belly in, heart comes forward, and exhale, step back to that downward facing dog, where we'll soften the knees first, make sure the shoulders feel comfortable, feel strong in the back, and then lifting your tailbone up a bit more, we'll keep the right knee bent and stretch deeply through the back of the left leg. Now don't overstretch here, so your knee maintains a very small micro bend maybe. Even though the leg is long on the left side, that knee should feel easy, never any strain, and not stretching beyond straight, certainly, if you're very flexible. I'm gonna hold for one more breath there. If you can still lift that tail up, and as you exhale, stretch the heel a little bit more back and down. Before bending both knees, looking forward and walking, or again, hopping forward. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, coming all the way up. Maybe that rolling action feels a little bit more interesting, or the other way around, a nice long spine. Come back to your mountain pose. Spread your toes. And root down through your feet. So especially the heel of the foot pressing down, the balls of the feet right behind the toes, and with your eyes closed, you can notice the way your feet ground you down, but at the same time, even from the bottom of the feet, the arches are lifting you, letting the whole body rise and shine today. You might shift your weight with your eyes closed again. If you can notice that length in the low back, your tailbone coming down, pubic bone up, the lowest ribs in towards your center. Inhale deeply. And with an exhale, again, see if there's any tension you might be holding. You don't need to be able to stand tall, to be able to stand easy. One sign you might be working too hard today, or it's time for a pause, is if you feel your breath is forced. You feel it's any way difficult to breathe. Slow down, take it a little easier, and see if you can just return to your natural breath. Or option here to use a little bit more active breath, ujjayi. That's the sound of a little bit of contracted air in the back of the throat. You might imagine you're hearing the ocean in the back of your throat, sometimes described like that, or also as if you were holding something round and soft, a small tangerine in the back of your mouth, right at the base of your tongue. And with that contraction and this restriction of airflow, we start to increase our energy flow a little more. So let's inhale, lift up. We're going to come through a couple sun salutations. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, coming up halfway. And exhale, we step back again to that downward dog. Inhale, coming forward into plank. And exhale, dropping down to the knees at first to feel that line of the body, and especially the shoulders, far from the ears, not rounding forward, feeling very stable. Let the body rest in prone position on the belly. And you'll notice here, if you take a breath, also a massage action of the belly, expanding and getting that push from the ground. See if that can help you soften the area around your low back, the sacrum, and even up into the kidney area, nice and soft. Then we engage the legs, the tops of the feet into the ground. Inhale, coming forward and up, a gentle cobra. Exhale, with that strength in your core, coming up through hands and knees, or just lifting your tail up, back to downward dog. This time we'll lift that right leg again and hang out for a breath or two with an even deeper stretch now for the left side of the leg. But we want to be active through both feet. So reach through the bottom of both of your feet, reaching away from your head. And as you exhale, let that heel sink down again, staying easy in your knee, active in both legs. Notice your hips. See if you can balance through both of your hips so we'll get that release around the outsides a little more evenly. And then exhale, bending that knee forward and walking or hopping forward, forward bend. Again, you might notice a big difference, again, from one side to the other. Inhale, halfway up, and exhale, forward bend. Inhale, rising up, and exhale, settling down. Lifting on an inhale, reaching the head up as the feet ground down. Exhale, fold from your hips, forward bend. Inhale, halfway up, and exhale back to downward dog. Lifting your hips with easy knees, and then relaxing both heels a little bit more to the ground. Important to feel that length in the lower back, the stability and ease through the shoulders, and bringing maybe the feet a little closer together as we inhale. Let's come into that plank first. Inhale, we'll move the whole body, come forward into plank. And exhale, the knees can be up or down, but often having the knees down will let you feel that integrity around the shoulders, and then control the release of the whole body a little more easily. Tops of the feet down, push down so much that the knees lift up as you pull forward and up on an inhale. And on an exhale, with the chin towards the chest, but a lot of strength in the core, lift back. Downward dog. So again, we're getting that extension in the low back, bringing the feet a little closer together. You can inhale now the left leg up. And again, feel the distribution of weight through both of your shoulders. You can even that out a little bit with big hands, spread your fingers. And maybe see if you can even spread that smooth, balanced, easy wave of inhale, matched by a long, continuous, and nice, soft exhale. Lowering down, and either walking again or hopping forward, forward bend. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, soften. Inhale, come on up. And exhale, back to Tadasana, your mountain pose. Spreading the toes, reaching down through the heels, keeping the knees easy and the legs active here. So it's almost as if you're from your knees up, we're lifting up as your tailbone relaxes down. Balanced waves of Ujjayi Pranayama. Let's see if we can feel the postural tone of the whole body now, also called bracing. So it's called bracing because it's a thing your body naturally does if you were about to brace for impact. If someone were going to hit you in the belly, your body would automatically tense up. I don't know why someone would do that, but your body's prepared. And we're going to see if we can do that bracing, but still maintain that easiness around the whole body. So as you inhale, let your heart lift. The top of your head reaches a little higher. Grounded down through your legs with easy knees. And as you exhale, pull everything into your middle. Belly in, tail down. So you feel very stable, a little bit more compact around your center. From there, let's see if we can lengthen the breath and get a little softer around the hips, especially the front of the thighs, the lower back, the upper chest, and the shoulders. And release that bracing. Just notice the difference with your easy breath. That bracing is going to be really helpful for where we're coming next into a couple plank poses, and then a deep release for our psoas as we get ready for our big work, our leg work today. So inhale, come on up. And then exhale, step back into a plank pose now, or plank on your knees, especially if you feel like you're sagging in your belly, then we're compressing the back. So we'd rather stay on the knees and have a long back, or reach back through the bottom of your feet in the classic plank. And stay here for 2 more breaths. And seeing if you can relax the shoulders, lengthen the back and the front of the neck. Then match that length on both sides. See if left is just as long as right. 1 more breath here. And then exhale, lowering down onto your knees, perhaps first, to see if you can really feel those shoulders still connecting back into the upper back support. And lengthen the legs and come onto your forearms for Sphinx Pose here. Your forearms parallel to each other. Elbows right underneath the shoulders. And we also want the feet to be stable and parallel here. So look back at your feet. Maybe look back at both sides, turning the head. And spread your toes. This one's a little bit harder to do than when we were in standing. So it might help to close your eyes. One of the things that I've really enjoyed most about yoga is moving from, or rather letting go of being so much of an outside observer of my body. I used to spend so much time only in my head. Being a little bit more of an inside enjoyer and experiencer of what's going on in the body. So again, spreading your toes and reaching your legs back, the tops of the feet down. We want to have that stability in the legs so that we can get a little bit more length for the upper body, also supported by the core. So the belly pulls in, the pubic bone lifting in and up as you start to use your forearms for traction. You pull your elbows back to lift that head, lift the heart just a little bit more. But if you've moved so far that you can't breathe deeply and easily, then that's too much. Don't overdo this lengthening and opening. Certainly never cause yourself any pain. And oftentimes when the body tightens up and we feel like, that's gonna hurt, or it already does feel hurt, it's because the body is actually trying to protect itself. So if the body feels vulnerable, if we don't provide that strength and stability, then we're not gonna be able to get the body to relax as deeply and enjoy the massage. One last breath here in a very supported, active Sphinx. And then exhale, release that. A really long back bend and extension there. We're gonna lift up gently and easily and come back into child's pose to balance that out. A nice deep forward bend. If that's not so good for your knees in child's pose, you could roll up that blanket and put it behind your knees. Or come sit up on something right behind your heels and your seat.
so that you can let the upper body rest over this folded, compressed lower body with a nice bend in the legs. Your knees can be as wide apart as the mat, or you could bring them a little bit closer. The big toes are touching, but that distance of the knees is really about what feels best for your body. Again, to let yourself enjoy some sukha, some openness, some ease up top. And exhale, if you can soften into that stable foundation, noticing the way the earth is coming up to greet you, hold you. Just be there. We'll use our fingertips here to walk length into the upper body. It's really good if you can anchor your tailbone down towards what you're sitting on or on your heels. And then use your fingertips. We're walking enough so that there's that traction again, but we don't want the shoulders to start to pop out of the back or start feeling any strain. So only go till your arms are long and you feel that length also in the sides of the body. And then we're going to start to walk the fingers over to one side. Now what tends to happen here is your sitting bone, if you're bending to the left, that right sitting bone is going to come off of the foot. So that's about the stopping point. That's your edge here, where you can keep the lower spine grounded, the pelvis resting down on the back of the feet, while you use the traction of the fingers and the arms to open up the right side body and getting a little bit of compression on the left side. One more breath here. And then inhale back to center. Make sure you take a pause to notice, to feel any differences. When you're ready, start that tenting action or like little crab legs in your fingers. Start walking those fingers over to the other side, only as far as you're able to maintain that stability of your base, and also resting in an easy, supported breath. Really breathe into the left side ribs here. If you're bending over to the right side, or the other way around. Lengthening again on an inhale from your root. Now here, the tailbone reaching back, the top of the head stretching forward, and exhale to soften a little more. We'll come out on an inhale, back to center, and walk it back to seated pose, Vajrasana, the hero's seat. But don't be a hero here and suffer through pain in your knees. If that's not working, again, sitting up on something might make that a little easier, a bolster, or even just taking a kneeling pose. We're going to do a brief bit of strengthening support for the wrist for the weight-bearing work that goes next. So open your hands, relax your shoulders, and point the palm of the hand up. Exhale, curl the hands into fists, and roll the knuckles forward. Keep the elbows close to your sides. Inhale, relax, and then stretch the fingers open. And then exhale, compress with the thumbs on the outside. Really squeeze your hands. And we're going to hold now in this forward rotation of a fist with the elbows by the body, the shoulders. Try to relax them a bit as you soften around your face and your jaw. We'll inhale again to lengthen the whole body. Reaching down into the ground to lift the whole spine. And exhale, just coming into that maximum squeeze that feels good with the fist rolling forward. And then we'll come relax and open the hand again. Spread your fingers as big as you can, like each finger was a ray of sunshine. You want to shine through all of your fingers in all directions. And then we'll just release with some easy circles, maybe some butterfly action. I like to just explore my coordination here. Is it just as easy for me to coordinate both directions of rotation in different patterns and configurations? Or do I notice one side is a little bit stickier or a little bit more resistant somehow? Or even maybe feeling some discomfort. If that's the case, I can also just do easy self-massage anytime I'm feeling tension in parts of the body, especially after those big stretches and compressions. And then let's see what it feels like when we come back to downward facing dog after that hand and wrist and forearm work. So when you're ready, make your way into a downward dog. You have that stable parallel foundation through the legs, easy knees, and a soft, strong support through both shoulders by relaxing your elbows a little bit more. See if you can rotate your elbows in the direction of your knees, keeping your head heavy, your neck is long, the face is soft, and your breath is full and relaxed. From here, we can come into a lunge sequence. We're going to start by lifting up the right leg and then bending the knee into the chest as you step it forward between your hands. And come up onto your fingertips and just stay here. And you need to set up your base so that your knee is right over the ankle in front and that you can push back through the back foot, through the bottom of the foot with the back leg. We're getting a pretty good opener and stretch here for the outer hip in the front. And the massage therapist in this case is the inside of your front shin. Use your big toe as your base, and also the outside here of our the thigh is going to help us get that release. You might be able to deepen that by imagining this back hip reaching back as your front hip is pulling forward. Using both of your legs for support, you lengthen the spine a little bit more and soften with your breath. Then we come down onto the back knee. And here's where if you have either a bolster or a block, this lizard lunge will be a little bit easier for some of you. Some of you who are very flexible, you'll be able to come down all the way. So first come down onto the knee, and if you're using support, you're going to walk the front foot out towards the outside of the mat, but keep the action of the leg in towards the body. So knee close to your shoulder, hugging the shoulder in. And the support will come right about the height of where your big toe stops, the front of the foot. You could just stay up here on your arms. This is a big stretch for our psoas, getting a lengthener here in the back, the front side of the back leg. But we also still working on that adductor, this outer hip rotator. So you want to keep that knee pulling into the body. Keep connecting with your breath. And if you have the range, you might come down a little bit lower. So bringing your forearms onto the bolster or the block. If that causes your knee to fall out, that might be too far. If that causes shortness of the breath, that could be too much. So you want to come down again until you can rest in a stable, very strong, but also an easy, relaxed pose. In fact, the word asana, all these poses we're taking, means a stable, easy seat. If the body were feeling like it needed more release, more length in that psoas and the back leg, you could bring the knee up. But again, try to bring both legs more towards your center. That front hip pulling back, the back hip moving forward, and lengthen in your upper back, in your neck. We tend to kind of crunch inwards here to avoid the massage in the hips. Exhale, release. And then coming down with your hands and getting ready for a low lunge. We walk the foot back in towards center. The knee right over the ankle, and if the back knee is feeling any pain, that's going to make the massage not pleasurable. So you might add some support if you have that blanket, or just fold your mat. Let's take the blanket, so it's there. And again, try to bring that pelvic tilt into a neutral enough position where you can enjoy the length in your lower back. Use a little more strength in the front for that. And I like to start with the arms parallel here so I can really feel those shoulders very relaxed, very stable in the upper back. If I want, I could contrast that by stretching or hunching the shoulders up and then releasing them down. And if I can maintain that relaxed shoulder feeling, I'll bring the arms up so that the biceps come in the direction of the ears. But if doing that causes my shoulders to shrug, my neck gets tense, my face, then it's better to just keep the arms in a more relaxed position for the shoulders. Breathing deeply here. We're getting again that lengthening of the hip flexors by letting that back hip engage forward, that front leg and the front hip pulling a little bit back, both hips facing forward. Then tuck the back foot in if it's been pointed away. And we're going to rise up, maybe bring your hands towards your hips, and you might need to adjust your leg so that that front knee again stays stable right above the ankle. Both hips are able to square or orient in the same direction forward. And we're going to lengthen this back leg. So we engage the back side of the back leg to get that deep stretch now for the psoas. The psoas is kind of like the tenderloin of the human body. It's one of our most important muscles for spinal extension and strength, mobility through the hips. But there's not a lot of connective tissue around it, so we have to work with it very mindfully and get quite tender. And we want to lengthen that out. So we're going to pull the tailbone down while lifting that pubic bone up. Maybe lift the arms up again. Before exhaling, hands through center, coming back, downward facing dog. We were holding some big stretches for a while, releasing some metabolic products. As a secondary effect, it can feel very good then to move the body. Taking a small vinyasa, come forward in plank. Knees down or up and lower the body with ease, with control, fully release. Point your toes. Come up for a nice cobra. Be very gentle here. You're going to notice a difference from one side to the other, or you might. And then exhale, chin to the chest, either through hands and knees or just lift up through your hips. As you exhale, lower down. Through both heels, little stretch again for both legs. Notice your breath here. Find ease, find joy. When you feel ready, when you're ready for some more good massage in the other leg, we'll bring that second leg up and bend the knee, bring it forward. You with me? The left leg forward now. Right between your hands and come onto your fingertips. Find your position that is stable, that feels comfortable. We want to feel that good feeling in the low back, length through the whole back by using again our legs. In particular, it's the big toe, the inside of that front leg, and my outer thigh now helping my left or my front hip, whichever that is, reach back, and the front side of that back hip starting to open. Let's come down onto the knees for an even deeper stretch now for that outer hip rotator in the front. You might want to block or bolster, maybe blocks if you have it, especially if one side is very different, it's a lot tighter than the other. Having a little bit more height, a little bit more support will actually help you get a better, more enjoyable massage. So that could be staying up on your arms or coming down onto your forearms. Just make sure the front knee is still pulling in towards the body. And if this pose, I think actually on the arms, better for me to get more length through the whole back and then more opening for that hip flexor in the back leg. Pull in through the core as you lengthen that tail, lengthen through the top of your head. If the body is asking for more, maybe lift up that back knee and stretch that back foot back. Coming down onto the back knee, Perhaps moving props out of your way, and then tuck the toes or point them for a low crescent lunge. So here we're using that traction of the front leg. So with the knee rooted down, we let the whole body energize forward, but try to keep the pelvis neutral, both hips oriented parallel, same direction. Adding the arms as an option or keep them on your hips. But whatever you do, don't choke your neck because you're so tight in your shoulders. See if you can soften again all of the muscles around your face. Soften your eyebrows, forehead, the cheeks below the eyes, and right behind your ears. Lifting up, and then tucking the back toes down if they're not yet already. Hands to the hips as you lift up for that high crescent lunge. Peak leg work for today's work. So with this, all of those massage agents and principles from before, really looking for stability and strength. And in that, finding ease, finding stillness. We're getting that last big stretch for the hip flexor here. So turn on that back side of the back leg. Reach it back as you bring the back hip forward, knee right above the ankle. Coming in with one last breath to your fullest version of the pose. Before exhaling, hands to the ground and back into downward dog first, or directly inhale, come forward to plank. On an exhale, lower down, chaturanga. Release. Point the toes and very mindfully come up again to cobra pose. Just make sure you use your root, using the feet to reach down, to lift up, so it's not your hands forcing the way. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. Good work. Good news, we're done with our standing and upright positions. The better news is we're coming into some big release on the floor. So make your way down to your back. And just starting here again, maybe where you started before, with your knees bent, feet on the ground. With every exhale, see if your whole body can just say, ah, a little bit more, maybe using a sigh to enjoy that release. And then we'll hug the legs into the body, but not sacrificing length in the lower back. So keep the legs far enough away that your tailbone stays reaching down, the low back is long. And from here, hugging the legs, maybe a little bit more. And then we're going to bring the feet to the floor and then to each other. So the bottom of both feet touching. And come into the bound foot pose here in a recline or supine position. For this, we're going to use the massage therapist on the outside of the legs to get a nice opening on the inside before we start using our hands, coming into our final massage and relaxation, self-massage. So just enjoy that feeling, especially in the inner legs, a big opening. But make sure it doesn't feel too much. You want to have that stability and the balance coming from your pelvis. So if you bring your thumbs to the front hips, both of these hip points should feel like they're on the same level. With thumbs on the hip bones, your first fingers can easily find the pubic bone, and all 3 points being on one level will help you have that stability in the hips. Sometimes good to move the flesh on the backside a little bit, so that the low back also can enjoy that easy length, letting gravity melt you into the floor. Last breath here. And then we're going to use our hands to come out, especially if you've been in a deep stretch for a while. This extra support. Keep things easy and feeling good. And then keep your feet on the ground, right below your knees. And we're going to take a variation of that first movement we did of arching and rounding, but now we're going to add a little bit of the circles we've been working on before. So notice your knees are parallel. Try to keep them very stable. So the knees moving as little as possible here as you alternate between that arched back here, the tail pulling down, and then shift your hips over to the side. You're coming around the side of the sacrum and then rotating to that rounded back. And then it's almost like there was a clock on your lower back and you're moving the arm of the clock around the sacrum. As you shift the hips to the side, I notice on this side I'm weaker, so my knees started moving with me. I'm going to back out a bit and come back to parallel. And then reach that arched spine again. So we're going to do 2 more rotations in this direction. Maybe you do a couple more. And maybe make the movement smaller if that helps you keep more of that stability in the base, in this case, the feet and the knees. And we're using a little bit of core work again, using an active center to kind of rotate the spine around another important part of its base, the sacrum, trying to see if we can notice all of the edges of the sacrum. Maybe a little bit more pressure. On one side's definitely more difficult than the other for me. So it might feel very different for you. Let's rotate in the other direction. So we're coming into that rounded back, the tailbone lifting towards the knees, and then shift the back a little bit more down on one side as you come into that arched back, moving around the clock, the face of the clock at the bottom of your back. One direction seems to be a little bit easier than the other. That's interesting. Take your time and give yourself at least one more spin around the clock, or just take an easy break. Enjoy your rest. And then come back into a neutral position before we come into our final couple poses here. A twist and a nice bridge. So for the twist, it might be nice to warm up the hips, feet open, and just let the knees wave over side to side. That's the first variation, first option. You could just stay with this. Or bringing your feet a little closer together and bringing your knees up. And then we're just going to let the knees do a similar action here, but now we keep our upper back fully rested on the floor and just let the twist work with gravity. There's a little bit of effort of the inner leg lifting that top leg back up to center. Most of this is coming from your core. Use that lower leg to help lift the upper leg back to center. Keep your upper body resting on the ground. That's the stable part, that strong massage therapist. Okay, we're gonna come into now, you could continue to just rest and take it a little bit slower if you're on the floor variation. Or if you're ready, come with knees together all the way over onto your side body. And keep the hands resting. So now if your legs are to the left, your left hand can rest on the outer right leg. And bring your right elbow up. Back of the head on the ground, and let the right elbow lead the upper body into its massage, into its twist. Massage here supported by the base of both knees together and on the floor. And your breath will do the work. Your breath will lengthen. And see if you can just enjoy that work with a little more softening with your next exhale. One last breath here, nice and easy. And then coming back. On an inhale, using that lower leg, use your core to come back up and just roll over to the other side. So both knees together and on the floor, the back of the head on the floor. The other elbow comes up and on an exhale, leads you into the twist. This side, you might be able to go a little farther, or you might have much less range. That's okay. Important, again, is the stability, so that the spine feels like your body is trusting this pose, so that with your exhales, you can practice a little bit more release. This is just one fabulous technique to let go of resistance in the body, letting your body more naturally, more harmoniously work for you. Last breath here. And then coming out, before using a little bit of core support, maybe the legs to lift up. And give yourself another hug before our final active pose here. Just one last big stretch in the bridge. So with this bridge, your arms are out wide for support. And we enjoy just a little bit of self-massage by bringing your hands up by the back of your ears. We hold a lot of tension here in the head and neck, so use your fingers to pull that tension down, soften, or just squeeze. Give yourself a little love around the sides of the neck and even into those collarbone area, the trapezius, or anywhere you feel some tension there. Feel free to give it a squeeze. And then set up your base, your arms out wide here, just for a gentle bridge. We inhale and lift down. Knees stay parallel, and then reach from your knees through your forehead, through the top of your head, reaching above you, knees reaching away. And really important here to come down mindfully. Come down easily as you exhale, unrolling the upper back and the middle back. Finally, the lower back touches down, and a small arch. Maybe just your hand would almost reach behind your back. Nice length. Big sense of ease. Oh, you're actually here. Good job. You've arrived in your final resting pose. It could be that you stay here with your knees bent, feet on the floor, or take any resting pose that's going to be more stable, more comfortable for you. Knees can come together with the feet wide apart, or you can very careful to keep that length in the lower back. Extend your legs one at a time in a classic Shavasana, a final resting pose. Just be here a couple minutes. It's really important to take the time to allow yourself that rest. You might have often heard Shavasana is the most important, or maybe even the most challenging pose. Maybe that seems very obvious to you. Or maybe it's saying, what? I'm just lying here. But the point of Shavasana is not only this rest, the real intention behind Shavasana is a returning to yourself. You are integrating all of this new information, this new flexibility and strength, maybe some of that awareness and good feeling you've been working on so hard. Now is the time to let go of everything and just integrate with yourself. You know, you're starting to master Shavasana. If you're able to let go of the need to change anything, fidget in your body. You know, you are here when you feel very calm, very easy. You can help yourself stay here by relaxing the body again actively, consciously. Softening your feet, your legs. With your exhales, relaxing your knees, your hips. Continue just observing your body, moving your awareness up through the spine and the torso. And with that awareness, just with your attention, you're letting the body be. You're just watching, enjoying, and following the natural rise and fall of your breath. If that seems simple, it is. And it can also be very challenging. If your mind wanders, just notice that. And when you've noticed your mind has wandered, with your next breath, bring it back to this moment. Maybe notice a part of the body again. You're holding tension still. And with your exhale, see if you can let that tension go. And let your attention rest. And simply enjoy a few moments in the stillness, watching your breath. Take your time. And when you're ready, start to deepen your breathing. Allow this longer, fuller inhale and with its increased energy and vibrations to be that impulse to start waking up your physical body, moving small and easy at first, letting any of these small movements that feel right maybe get bigger, wiggling, or rolling, or even taking one last big stretch if you like. With arms overhead on the ground, reach from your fingers through your toes. And exhale, release. Bending your legs one at a time, noticing and feeling, and then giving yourself one more big hug and all your love. Rolling over onto your right side. Could be a nice way to help yourself reorient as you prepare to move on in the rest of your day. And then use your hands to help yourself up into one last stable and comfortable seat. Our final asana here is any seated position that feels good for you, where you feel no tension in the knees, no discomfort in the hips, and you can lift your upper body again, reaching down through your root and up through your crown. Bring the hands together in front of your heart. Just taking one final moment and a couple of breaths here to savor the overall effects of your practice. Noticing any changes and enjoying how you feel. Thank you for sharing your practice today, your Hatha Yoga Massage. Hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to practicing with you soon. Namaste.